There's a recent study released from Harvard Business Review that found that 72% of culture changes in organizations failed to meet their desired impact or result and failed to stick. That eventually the change imploded and they reverted back pretty much to where they were before. And it's clearly a disappointing number, especially for someone like me and my organization that is all about helping credit unions build your culture. But I think it's a great lesson to learn. And so let's dig into some of the things that we need to do that if we're going to make a culture change, it sticks, right? Because there's no point in doing it if it doesn't. And, by the way, let me just quickly step aside here to make this point. A culture change doesn't mean a complete overhaul. It could mean that. It could mean you've had a bad culture and you want to have a good culture, okay? But it could mean that you have a good culture and you want to have a great culture going forward. It could be, just an incremental thing. It could mean that you've got a great culture in pockets of your organization, but in others, not so much. So when I talk about culture change and, some of the keys to making that successful, it can fall anywhere on that spectrum that you're looking to accomplish. All right. So one of the four primary reasons that they found that culture changes didn't stick is because leadership didn't change. They didn't, in a very simple sense, they didn't walk the walk. They talked it, but they didn't walk it, or basically they wanted everybody else to change, but the employees didn't see any change in them. And that's legit, isn't it? I mean, look in the mirror. Think about when you make any kind of change, you've got to model it, right? You've got to exemplify, not just, tell them what you want them to do different, but show them how you're doing it different so that they can do it the same way. So if you want the culture to change, leadership, you guys got to change. And I would encourage you to be outgoing about that and be transparent about that, because your employees aren't always going to see it, okay? Many of them are working in offices and they never interact with you. How do you get them to see it? Talk openly about it. And, make it very transparent and say, if you're the CEO, for instance, hey, look, here's how we're doing our meetings different, or here's how I'm getting out and visiting the branches and meeting with all the department heads and blah, blah, blah. I'm doing things different. If you don't talk about it, they're probably never going to realize it, and therefore they're going to be less inclined to change or more inclined to revert back to where they were before. All right, so leadership needs to change. The second thing is the processes need to change. And I don't just mean, the physical processes, the operations, if you will, but although that's part of it, but it's just basically how we do things, okay, that needs to change. If we say that we want a more inclusive culture, well, then we need to start having meetings where we're seeking input from people that in the past haven't provided input or haven't had the opportunity to provide input. So that's an example. When I say processes change, that's an example of how, we need to have demonstrative ways that we're doing things different in this new culture than we did it previously in the old culture. Communication has to change. Communication is such a broad bucket. It has so many different definitions and so forth. But somehow, some way, our communication has to change. We have to communicate better. We have to communicate differently. We have to communicate either more frequently, or I would say that in some instances, less frequently. We need to be more specific in our communication. We need to be more timely. Just go through the list, of all the different ways that we need to do communication differently. And It's communication to everybody in the organization, all across the organization and all the way down. What do we need to do bigger, better, and different to communicate different and better to make our culture change stick? And then the fourth area is we need to do something to improve people's skills, to give them tools that they didn't have in the old culture. We need to show that we're investing in them. We're helping them with their soft skills, with their people skills, with their communication skills, their interpersonal skills. We're helping them, we're investing in them to help them be different and better, contribute differently and better in our new culture than we did in the old. So don't omit, don't overlook that part of it, that, we've got to invest in them differently than we have in the past. Now, in doing those four things, it allows you as a leader at the organization to hold your people accountable to doing what they need to do different, okay? But it starts with you. It starts with the top of the credit union, and you've got to focus in on these four things. Another key finding real quick as it relates to culture change, there was some real negativity expressed by employees who felt like the culture change was really just a marketing campaign. It was a new slogan or a new mantra or tagline, or it was new colors. It was, a new logo. Maybe it was new uniforms. It doesn't matter, whatever. The employees felt like this was a marketing thing, not a C-suite thing. And I guess in a nutshell, going back to where I started this video, that's what the employees need to see, feel, hear on a regular, daily, consistent basis, is that leadership is driving this change and they believe in it and they're changing as a result of it. It's not just a marketing campaign. So good luck with your change, your culture change, and be one of the 28%, not one of the 72%.